At 2 in the morning, I saw a man on the curb under the yellow blink of a failing streetlight. He looked lost, shoes untied, phone dead, eyes damp with the kind of panic that asks for a witness. I pulled over, the way helpful people do. I offered a ride, a charger, a quiet voice. He nodded, climbed in, and within minutes was barking orders, changing destinations and blaming me for the mess he had made long before I arrived. When I finally eased him out, he slammed the door, muttered a curse, and left me with a pulse like sirens. I drove home wondering how rescue had turned into rehearsal for disrespect. Machiavelli would say, "The lantern you carry draws moths and hawks alike." Not cynicism, just weather. Human nature leans on what it finds, and leans harder when the support doesn't wobble. So here is our pact. This space is for the quiet ones, the thoughtful ones, the burnt-out givers who still believe kindness is a kind of craft. You are not broken. You are simply carrying light without a handle. Tonight I'll introduce 7 familiar shapes. Each arrives looking like a person to help. The drowning rebel, the endless petition, the velvet critic, the borrowed crown, the vanishing apprentice, the crisis conductor, and the mirror with no memory. They smile like needs, but each one will cost you power, time, and peace. I'll keep the rhythm slow so your breathing steadies with the sentences. We'll name what happens without drama, and we'll remember this. Caution isn't cruelty. It's stewardship. Near the end, you'll get a clean defense kit, phrases, boundaries, signals to read in the dark. First, though, a question. Why does generosity breed enemies at all, and what does your lantern show when you tilt it lower? You know this one. Their messages arrive like flares. Emergency. Need you now. You rush, stitch the plan together, call the contact, smooth the edges. They exhale, promise to tag you, disappear into the spotlight they rented with your time. By evening, there's a story online, triumphant, airbrushed, no trace of the hands that held the ladder. Self-made, they write, and your name is the ghost in the wings. The mirror seeker craves the glare. They vanish the second they feel unseen. They lift your language, your fixes, and buff them until the reflection shows their grin. If you point at the help given, they squint as if you've broken the spell, and the scene resets to their genius. Machiavelli would say favors win loyalty, flattery wins performance, then ingratitude. The mirror seeker lives on applause, not memory. They respond to whoever polishes them fastest, and resent the hand that slows the polishing. Watch for frantic charm that arrives just before the ask. Notice how they keep score in public, names dropped, thanks performed, and forget favors in private. Hear the pre-written captions. I always rise, I alone. See the exit lights already warming, helping them costs more than ours. It erodes your reputation when their show collapses, because you were the quiet rigging behind a stage. It trains your nervous system to be chronically available. It seeds resentment that makes you suspicious of real need. The safer play is boring and kind. Keep boundaries private. Keep reactions neutral in public. Offer clear edges. I can share one introduction. I'm available for 20 minutes. Give help that can stand without your constant oxygen. Then step back and let them reveal themselves. Some mirrors fog when no one is breathing on them. The truth appears in the quiet, and the next figure walks in from the wings. You sit with them at a kitchen table, steam from 2 cups rising between you. You sketch a plan on a napkin, 3 calls, 2 documents, 1 appointment. They nod grateful, until each step becomes an indictment. The calendar is proof the system conspires. The form is proof gatekeepers laugh. Your number is proof you'll leave like everyone else. By the time the tea cools, your plan is the villain, and their suffering has new armor. The martyr of misery is not faking the ache. They have braided identity with affliction so tightly that improvement feels like treason. If the pain eases, Who are they without the chorus and the crutch? Progress threatens the story that made them meaningful and kept companions close. Machiavelli would warn that dependence breeds hatred. When your lantern draws them close, your rescue makes you both necessary and intolerable. If you succeed, you endanger their status as the most wronged. If you fail, you confirm it. Listen for sighing monologues that drift before any ask. Notice how deadlines make them itch. Watch the yes but loop spin. Every suggestion meets an objection. Every door opens onto another grievance. They seek witnesses to the struggle, not exits from the room. The cost to you is subtle, then sharp. You begin as a comfort and become a conspirator when reality refuses to match their dramatized pain. Eventually you play the villain, accused of not believing enough, not caring loudly enough, not rescuing in the right shade of devotion. Choose compassionate distance. Offer time-boxed help. I can brainstorm for 15 minutes and I'll review one draft. Put boundaries in writing so memory cannot recast them. Let the clock, not your guilt, end the conversation. In that quiet, you'll notice another pattern stepping forward, asking for warmth with polished charm. You remember clearly the evening it started as a kindness. A neighbor asked if you could quickly look over a letter. 5 minutes, they said. You poured tea, fixed a sentence, and felt the small glow of usefulness. The next week a longer message arrived. You're a lifesaver. Could you also draft a response? Soon there was a meeting you simply had to attend, because you understood the situation better than anyone. By the time you noticed, the favor had grown legs, and you were jogging beside it, apologizing for running slow. The puppet master of favors keeps ledgers like others keep diaries. They weaponize reciprocity with a smile, and manufacture urgency like weather, sudden, impossible to argue with. Their memory is perfect where it profits them, foggy where it would free you. Machiavelli would remind us gifts can crown a prince or collar a servant. What feels like generosity is a leash fitted softly, then tightened by custom and applause. The story becomes simple. You are good, therefore you will give. You gave, therefore you will obey. Red flags glow warm at first. Only you can do this. A friendship accelerated to a sprint. Secret deadlines that appear after you agree. Gratitude gushing in public while privately rearranging your week. The cost compounds. Your name becomes a reputation debt others spend without asking. You feel moral injury when your help props up choices you wouldn't endorse. Triangulation follows. They speak through you to someone else, and your circle narrows as people avoid being drafted into the chain. Choose the safer play. Refuse favors you cannot see clearly. Name edges and exits in writing. Rotate no with delay. Not this week. Ask again next month. Watch who respects pauses and who tugs the leash harder, while a soft voice approaches with velvet praise. You hand over the deck at noon. Tidy slides breathing. Notes in the speaker's view like breadcrumbs. They beam. Couldn't have done it without you. You exhale. At 4 the calendar alert pings, their presentation to the room. You slip in quietly. The screen wakes to the cover. Your design, your data, their name in bold across the center, yours missing like a deleted layer. They narrate your metaphors, improvise your transitions, and close with the flourish you wrote at midnight. Applause thens. The credit alchemist practices opportunistic humility in private and heroic storytelling in public. To you they murmur gratitude. To the crowd they narrate as if the idea pulled itself from their rib. They don't steal. They dissolve you in a warm bath of we, then pour the mixture into their bottle. Machiavelli would nod. Perception outranks truth. Courts love applause, not provenance. Power is often granted to the best teller, not the best maker. And the alchemist keeps a mic polished. Watch the red flags. They insist on controlling introductions. They become vague when attribution arises. Their we stretches until it means me. They propose you stay backstage to keep the flow. They sign emails with thanks that sound like receipts. The cost is slow corrosion. You start to submit work without your signature. You learn helplessness. Why bother marking your trail if the rain comes right after? Your brand dissolves, and with it the invitations that should have found you directly. Play it safer. Build a paper trail that survives the meeting. Forward credit instantly. For clarity, this model is Layla's. I'm implementing her outline. Pre-agree public acknowledgements before you contribute. When the cover slide appears again, you'll be ready, and listening for the velvet voice that praises while sharpening a blade. You notice the pattern on a dull Tuesday. You fix the login, and 2 new emergencies appear. You untangle a schedule, and a billing crisis arrives. You carry a box to their car, and you're carrying their week. Without asking first, each solved task births twins, both crying for you. You breathe, smile, and feel your ribs tightening like a belt. The bottomless well doesn't mean harm. Planning is chaotic, gratitude inconsistent, and crisis a lifestyle with its own soundtrack. They believe urgency proves importance, and they collect fires like charms on a bracelet. When quiet threatens, they shake the world until something falls. Machiavelli, practical as a locksmith, would remind a ruler to conserve scarce resources. Attention is royal currency. Spend it poorly and the borders fray. Even the kindest court must ration sunlight, or the garden dies from noon. Red flags wave without wind. They skip the self-help steps you already showed. They refuse simple automation because drama feels like momentum. They escalate reflexively. Every hiccup becomes a hemorrhage. Their questions arrive before reading the answer you sent yesterday. The cost to you is arithmetic, then existential. Minutes melt into hours, hours into a reputation you never meant to own. The reliable one, always on call. Burnout follows, and resentment stains the parts of you that were once generous. Identity collapses into a job description nobody offered, and you somehow accepted. Choose the safer play. Teach once, document once, and hand over the reins. Say circle back after you complete A, B, and C. Enforce cooldowns. I'll be available Friday, not before. Protect attention like breath in cold air. Let it be seen, not squandered. In that calmer space, listen for the person who arrives bearing praise and opportunity, yet asks you to wear their crown for a day. It begins with a warm request wrapped in virtue. You offer your time, show up early, carry the boxes, fix the spreadsheet nobody wanted to open. The event runs, the donations land, the room exhales. Then comes the chill. They post a thread about performative helpers. Tag no one, but describe your shoes, your joke. The moment you left because you promised a child a bedtime story. You helped imperfectly. Therefore you are suspect. The good you did dissolves beneath the foam of the holy volunteer arranges purity tests like stepping stones over a river that keeps changing course. They value symbolic gestures over outcomes, public shaming over private repair. Your motives are never quite clean enough, so they polish their halo against your sleeve and call it service. Machiavelli would shrug. Appearances rule crowds, and purity can become a cudgel. When virtue is theatre, the loudest usher directs the seats, not the quiet builders backstage. Watch the red flags, rules that shift mid-march, compassion that competes, whose suffering wins the microphone, standards rewritten after the fact, so gratitude can be withheld without saying why. Every ask carries an audience. Every thank you is provisional. The cost creeps like fog. You begin to craft sentences for safety, not clarity. Reputational anxiety replaces initiative. You self-censor, trade momentum for compliance, and lie awake replaying moments where kindness might be misread, by a chorus looking for a trial. Choose the safer play. Insist on metrics, not vibes. Meals served, forms filed, hours met. Help quietly. Give credit loudly. Document decisions. Exit at the first moving goalpost, the one that slides as you reach it. Let them announce their verdict to an empty stage, while you conserve breath for work that holds. When the lights dim, notice the final figure stepping closer, smiling with promises like rain. They came softly, asking how you do the things you do. A coffee, a call, a message at night. Could you look at my draft, my deck, my plan? You say yes, and their gratitude is bright as foil. Then the temperature changes. A colleague mentions a comment that sounded like you. Bent. A meeting tilts. You notice faint ripples where your name should be still water. They sought guidance and seeded doubts. They borrowed your map and told the camp you like to hold the compass too tight. The quiet saboteur smiles in private and trims you in public. They praise your work one-on-one, while telling the room you're overbearing, impossible to collaborate with, tired. They are delicate with compliments and precise with rumors. The knife is wrapped in tissue paper, so you'll feel silly saying you're bleeding. Machiavelli would murmur that people forgive injuries sooner than benefits. Help can remind someone of what they lack, and gratitude curdles into envy. Your assistance becomes a mirror they avoid by smudging it, and you... Enough! Red flags glance off like gnats, faint praise that lands with a bruise, selective misquoting that makes you sound grand, just concerned, whispers that spread like steam. Their stories are almost true. That's why they travel far. The cost arrives quiet, then heavy. Social capital leaks through hairline cracks. Projects drift because your influence now looks like interference. Self-doubt grows moss along your thoughts. You start apologizing before you speak. There's a safer play. Reduce their access without a speech. Counterintuitively promote them explicitly. Name their wins so envy has nothing to grip. Document decisions in daylight and diversify your alliances so no one gate faces the storm alone. And now the hinge. How do you defend your peace without hardening the heart that carried you here? Here is your field manual, written for those who carry a lantern and would like to keep the flame. First principles. Conserve attention the way travelers ration water. Trade clarity for chaos. Whenever confusion swirls, slow down, ask for terms and write them. Never rescue twice without change. If the pattern repeats, pause the parade. Use filters before you lift a finger. Motive, pattern, cost, proof of effort. Ask what they want, how often this has happened, what it will take from you, and what they have already tried. Answers given in fog tell you enough. Tactics come in 3 levels. Start with advice, short and specific. If the need persists, offer a template, a checklist, an email draft, a script. If the pull continues, share a resource list. Books, tools, contacts anyone can approach. Keep your hands out of the actual steering unless duty or love insists. Adopt the write it once doctrine. Every solution becomes a note, a link, a page you can send instead of rebuilding. Use deadline mirrors. I'll review by Friday if you send by Thursday noon. The mirror reflects effort or emptiness. Language matters. Soft no's, I can't take this on. Conditional yeses. Yes after you complete X and Y. Exit phrases. That's as far as I can go. Let's stop here. Hold rituals. A weekly ally audit. Who feeds your fire, who dims it? An emotional debrief to shake off borrowed storms. Boundary rehearsal out loud until your voice remembers. None of this is cruel. It is how lanterns stay lit in wind. You will lose a few admirers and gain respect that lasts longer than applause. Keep the pages handy, within easy reach always. In a moment I'll tell you one last story. The night a door finally stayed closed, and something better knocked. There is a tale about a traveler who carried a small lantern through valleys where maps forgot the paths. The flame was steady, the glass scratched, the handle warm from nights. The traveler learned a simple craft, not to push darkness away, but to choose where the circle of light should rest. When the beam fell on a broken bridge, some shadows gathered, not because they hated light, but because light drew them. The traveler did not scold the shadows. They lifted the lantern a little higher and set it down where hands could work. Some shadows followed, some slid away. The path mended in the places they chose, and the night remained a teacher, not a judge. So we returned to that corner at 2 in the morning, the man on the curb, the pulse like sirens. Tonight you do not harden. You breathe, listen, and choose where to shine. You ask for terms. You name your limits. You offer a path that requires feet, not just pleas. If the stranger barks, you lower the lantern and keep moving. Not punishment, practice. Your calm is a gate that opens to travelers. Here is your credo: help where help multiplies, where a seed becomes a garden, where a tool becomes many hands, where thanks is a sunrise, not a spotlight. Refuse dramas that demand your daylight and repay with smoke. Before we part, a gentle call to rest. You have permission to be selective without guilt. Let ambition walk slower. Let the heart keep rhythm. Write your boundaries the way sailors write tides, firm and forgiving. Carry the lantern by the handle, not the flame. When night grows loud, choose a circle of light and stand quietly inside it. What needs you will step closer. What only once you will fade.